The comfort zone is death for the entrepreneur and the high achiever. I see this over and over again. When a man gets comfortable, he begins to lose his edge. Right now, I'm in the middle of doing my research for my new book, The Purpose Crisis. I believe that men are going through a purpose crisis right now. And in my research, I came across this video I want to share with you with Dr. Jordan Peterson, a renowned psychologist, was able to break down the story of Abraham, a simple story from the Bible, to help us understand why is our divine right to find purpose, why breaking through the comfort zone will lead us to finding our purpose. So let's begin.
In the story of Abraham, the divine is characterized in relationship to something like ambition. So Abraham he's already immersed in a situation that's akin in a way to the scenario of a wealthy and a person in the modern world who's in a situation of abundance. Abraham's parents are wealthy and they provide for him. There's nothing he needs to do. And in consequence, so he's attained the socialist utopia or the consumerist utopia. You can look at it either way. And there's no reason for him to move forward. So he doesn't. He doesn't do anything till he's 75. And then the voice comes to him, which is the voice of adventure. And it's
75 years old, you're wealthy, you're comfortable, your parents have money, you reach a certain level of status. And this is a story of a man who doesn't have to get uncomfortable, a man who doesn't have to do the things that he did. And see, how does this relate to you? Somewhere along the line right now, you're comfortable. I know I was comfortable. I remember when I was building my real estate company, I was very comfortable. I was making money, I had investments, I had people working for me. But then there was a whisper of God. And that's what I love what he says. The voice of God started to call Abraham. And see, the whisper of God would tell you, hey, there's another level. Hey, there's another version of you. It's time for you to grow. And see, sometimes God whispers, and sometimes also God brings down the wrath in order for us to listen.
right. And God says to Abraham, you have to leave all this comfort, which is a very interesting proposition to begin with. It's like, why the hell would you leave that when you have everything you need? Well, the implication is that you don't have everything you need when you're being delivered everything you need. That isn't how life works. Okay, so God says you have to leave your father's tent, you have to leave your tribe, you have to leave those who speak your language, you have to venture out into the world. So God is conceptualized in this story as the impulse, the voice that compels you out into the world and that encourages you to do so. So that's a hypothesis about what the ultimate up is. Okay. And Abraham agrees, and he does so in two ways.
He tells him to break through the comfort zone, to leave his parents, to leave his comfort, to branch out and find a venture. See, when I got the whisper saying there was another level that I need to go, that there was something else I need to do, and it wasn't real estate, it was more impacting lives, I didn't want to listen to the whisper. I actually ignore the whispers. I believe that most men right now are ignoring that whisper. That's where they are comfortable. See, but the moment that I continued to ignore that whisper, then God started to put pain in my body. And that whisper no longer became just a suggestion. Now it became a push. If God has a bigger purpose for your life, He will show you. He will constantly push you. And see, in my case, it became a physical pain. And that pain got me into doing some research about the midlife crisis, doing some research about breakthrough work, doing some research about personal development. And that's when my pain got me started into the path that I'm in right now. I see, the moment that you start making decisions to move outside your comfort zone, eventually there will be opportunities. But there won't be opportunities if you continue to ignore that voice.
He builds an altar, signifying his aim, that he's going to abide by the command of this voice or the invitation of this voice, and that he'll make the appropriate sacrifices. It's a crucial point to understand, because the process of transformation requires sacrifice. To be more than you are means you have to let go of that which you were. You have to make sacrifices. Now, Abraham's life is punctuated by a sequence of reaffirmations of his upward aim and declamations of his willingness to sacrifice. Every time he finishes an adventure, he reconstitutes the covenant. Right. So this is this agreement to follow the voice of adventure.
Once you follow the voice of adventure, once you agreed to find your purpose, then you have to make sacrifices. See, where you spend your time, your energy, and your money is going to be a sacrifice. Nothing worth living in this life is going to come easy. So when I had to make the sacrifices, I had to pay money, I had to travel. Probably I had to ignore some of my other businesses in order for me to find my purpose. I see, you might be listening to this right now and say, well, this doesn't apply to me because I'm good. See, good is the enemy of great. There's another version of you. There's another side of you. That's what he's talking about. Like, you have to let go of who you are in order for you to become who you're destined to be. But that doesn't happen unless you break through the comfort zone and you make some sacrifices to find out who you are. And those sacrifices might be that you have to let go of bad habits, let go of the associations that you have, let go of some of the thoughts and some of the belief systems that you have, and find new ways to reinvent yourself. But in order for you to find your purpose, you have to be willing to make sacrifice.
God makes him a deal. That's the covenant. It's a very interesting deal. So now imagine, biologically speaking, that there is an instinct to integrate that operates within us. Okay, so now it's just as fundamental as the hypothalamic motivational states, let's say, but it's more sophisticated. And what it's trying to do is to integrate all the motivational states across time and socially, right? And then imagine it manifests itself as an instinct, to be something like the instinct to mature, right? To move forward, right? To leave your zone of comfort, right? And maybe there have been people like Csikszentmihalyi who've characterized that as the attractiveness of flow. And maybe it's associated with the exploratory circuit in the hypothalamus that's mediated by dopamine. Okay, but it's got its character. Now, the character of that instinct in this story is, the way it's characterized is as the voice of adventure. So it's the thing that asks you to move beyond your zone of comfort and go into the foreign world. Now, the advantage to that is that you fortify yourself and you develop.
That's the key of growth. You have to develop yourself. You have to hit those dopamine hits. You have to tap into the flow state, and that's what purpose does. I talk about all the time, the return on energy. When a man lives his purpose, he has so much more energy than a man who's just going through the motions. See, I constantly look at whatever I do, what's the return on energy that I'm getting? People ask me all the time, Raul, how come you put content every single day? You're doing seminars every single month. You're putting trainings every single week. It's because this is my purpose. I could imagine how, if I wasn't doing this, how burned out I would be if I was doing the same thing and put into something else that I wasn't fulfilling my purpose. And that's what you have to figure out. What gives you flow state? What sends that energy in your brain that actually energizes you? It doesn't mean that you're going to monetize it. It just means that it's going to give you a return on energy, because most of the time, when you have energy, you could produce income. Most men are chasing income. Most men are chasing success. I believe in pursuing greatness. I believe in pursuing purpose, because the moment that I live with purpose, then all the success is just available to me. And that's the flow state that he's talking about. That's the covenant that God said, if you fulfill your purpose, if you live with purpose, I will give you more blessings in your life.
Right? So no matter how good you are now, if you push yourself to the edge, you're going to be better than you are. And that's a better win than merely being good like you are now. So that would be participation in that transformative process is a higher form of attainment than mere attainment of any specific goal.
Being in the comfort zone is death. It doesn't mean that you're going to die right away. It means that it's a slow death. So you might even not think that you're dying, because if you're not growing, you're dying. So the moment that you grow, the moment that you tap into the uncomfortable and you face some of the fears that you have and you start trusting that God has a deeper purpose for you, then you begin to develop. Then you begin to find your edge. Then you begin to see what works and what doesn't work.
So that's the call to adventure. That's the call to a quest. That's what Gandalf offers Bilbo, for example. Okay. God characterizes the consequences of that. And this is so cool. When I figured this out, it just flattened me. It's so interesting. God says, okay, God is defined as that which says this, by the way. If you push yourself beyond your zone of comfort, even if it's functioning for you, that's Abraham's situation, here's what will happen.
Even if you don't have to break through, because you might be in a place where everything is good, if you push outside your comfort zone and you seek adventure, because I believe that's what God is looking for every single one of us to do, to have that heart of adventure, to see what else we could do. Because a sedated man brings no value to his family. A sedated man is just existing, just taking space, is not living. But a man who has a sense of adventure, a man who has a sense of purpose is alive. That energy is contagious. He becomes attractive. People want to be around him. That's what he's talking about is the moment that you tap into that energy, you actually begin to attract some of the blessings that you were probably blocking when you were just good. But this happens only if you're willing to get uncomfortable.
You'll live your life in a manner that's a blessing to you. So that's a good deal, because the miserable people you're talking about, the depressed people, the trapped people, their life isn't a blessing to themselves. So what's a pathway to blessing? Well, it's not satiation, not in this formulation. It's voluntary. It's the voluntary quest, and it's characterized by adventure. So that's deal number one. You'll live in a life that'll be a blessing to you. Okay. And then God says that's not all that'll happen. You'll be a blessing to yourself in a manner that will make you renowned among other people justly. So that's a good deal, because we know that people, men in particular, are very status oriented, partly because their reproductive success is highly correlated with their social status. And, the psychopaths game that, but still it's like renown is crucially important. You want to be the quarterback on the shoulders of your teammates, so that'll be the second thing that happens. And then the same voice says, and that's not all. You'll be a blessing to yourself and be renowned in a manner that will maximize the probability that you will establish something of lasting value. That's a good deal. So that's stretching across time, multi-generationally, because God tells Abraham that if he follows the pathway of adventure, he'll be the father of nations. So what that means is that he'll establish the pattern of paternal conduct that will maximize the success of his offspring in the longest possible run. So that's so cool.
Man, this is what purpose is. For you to, one, own your value, right? The moment that you live in your purpose, like he said, you increase your value. You start owning your value. You start bringing blessings to yourself. The second is you get recognized. You get recognized as somebody who has value, as somebody who's doing something for the community, for the world. And third, you're going to create a legacy for all the generations. Because a man who lives with purpose is not just a man who's existing. A man who lives with purpose is actually impacting multiple generations in his lineage. See, that's why this is so important, because the crisis that we're living right now is men who are just thinking small, thinking about their little lives, how this is going to impact me. No, you have to start thinking bigger. Living with purpose means creating a legacy. Who are you going to become for the next generation? Multiple generations are going to be impacted. Just like he said, Abraham became the father. His way of thinking became the way that multiple generations took on. And that's the opportunity that you have. When a man lives with purpose, he's creating generational wealth. He's creating a generational path, breaking generational curses, because he's a blessing to himself. He's a blessing to others. And he's recognized by being a man that has purpose.
Exactly. And then the final offer is you'll do that in a way that'll bring abundance to everyone else too. Now, so think about what that means biologically. This is so cool. And I can't see how it can be wrong. It means that if you hearken to the voice that calls you out of your zone of comfort, and you do that voluntarily, so you put yourself on the edge of adventure, you will be following the instinct that has already evolved to make your life a blessing to yourself, to make you successful among other people, to maximize your probability of long-term success, and to do that in a way that brings abundance to your community. And then you think, look, let's take the contrary hypothesis.
So this is the key of finding purpose, is getting out your comfort zone. No man who was comfortable ever achieved something great. No man that was comfortable ever created a legacy. The moment that you break through your fears, break through that comfort zone, understand that you're becoming a blessing, that your choices that you make today are going to impact multiple generations in your lineage, then you start thinking more consciously. You start making decisions based on purpose, not just based on chasing success. My intention for you as you watch this video is to ask yourself, am I living with purpose? Am I staying comfortable? Where in my life do I need to break through the comfort zone? Because I know there's another version of you waiting. The other version of you has to be willing to pay the price. You have to be willing to do the things that most men are not willing to do. That's why I love what I do, is because I help men break through the comfort zone. We put them in a contained environment. We'll be able to seek adventure, brotherhood, community, and most important, to be able to see that there's another level that they could live in. That's what this is, the edge. So I challenge you to find your edge. I challenge you to get out of your comfort zone. I challenge you, not because you have to, is because who you are. Because at the end of the day, a man who lives with purpose is a man who creates a legacy. And he believes with every single cell in his body that the best is yet to come. If you found value in this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And most important, check out this video right here when I talk about how the enemy uses certain type of fears to control humankind. Take a look at this video.